is just ridiculous. Right? I mean, who would watch a show about a teen psychic?
No.
Who would have thought a show about a sidekick would become Disney Channel's most memorable sitcom of all time? Even years after its premiere on January 17th, 2003, That's So Raven still remains the highest rating original program in Disney Channel's history, and had high viewership throughout its run until its end on November 10th, 2007.
Yep, that's me.
That's So Raven's popularity and success impacted the way the network would go on and produce its future projects, which eventually helped launch what many call Disney Channel's golden age.
Oh, snapski.
So what made That's So Raven so impactful and iconic?
Does you know who I be? Does you listen to music?
Do you watch TV?
Do you carry a lunchbox? Papi, tell him who I be.
Despite Disney Channel being around since 1983, it didn't become the network every 90s and early 2000s kid knew and loved until after years of rebranding. Although Disney Channel had a few of the original live-action series airing since 1995, but nothing memorable really came out of that era until Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire started airing on the network in the early 2000s. Lizzie McGuire became a breakout series that practically became Disney Channel's first successful original sitcom, marking the dawn of a new era. But it wasn't until That's So Raven when things started to shift. To begin with, the formatting of That's So Raven was different from the channel's earlier works. Instead of using a single camera, That's So Raven was the first multi-camera sitcom to air on Disney Channel. Earlier, Disney Channel shows had a more serious tone before Raven and focused more on coming-of-age stories and teaching life lessons to young viewers. Because of this, most of the sitcoms of that time seemed a bit more tedious.
That's Becca. She's been my best friend my whole life. We grew up together. She's someone I can always count on.
That's So Raven was able to tackle similar topics while also incorporating a little more comedy, especially physical comedy. Which made the show more enjoyable and entertaining for viewers compared to the other Disney Channel shows. I think what really made That's So Raven such a hit with audiences was the fact that Raven had psychic abilities and would often misinterpret her visions, allowing unique and funny scenarios to happen on every episode.
Know what you guys were doing behind my back.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, oh, why didn't you tell me?
I don't know. We knew if you told you, you'd want to control our every move.
Oh! I don't even want to think about y'all's moves.
Well, where you gonna have to, because we're gonna do them on stage.
On stage in front of everyone? Now listen up, you two. My daddy runs a respectable place. Nasty! You just can't get up on stage.
Give it up for the sensational salsa dance stylings of Chelsea and Eddie.
Dance? Salsa dancing?
Yeah. Honey, what did you think they were doing?
I thought they were doing something, but a whole different little something.
One of the writers described the show's nature as goofy with a kid-friendly comedy style, but also noted its complex stories around ethical challenges.
Who says that's the only look? You make people feel bad if they don't look like that. No one looks like that. As in case you haven't noticed, people come in all shapes and sizes, and they're all beautiful.
A really good time period in the years, and we captured stories that were touching to the people that were watching us.
Right.
So we talked about topics in a funny / serious way that you can relate to, and when you can relate to something, then, more and more people talk about it.
Raven was such a charismatic character. She was confident and proud, and don't get me started on her fashion sense. Each episode, she was pulling off these amazing outfits that were trendy then and are trendy now.
A fabulous new fashion report for our school newspaper? Oh yeah, baby, I think it is. I know what you all are thinking. Is this a Raven original? I'd be speechless too.
That's a nice dress you got there.
Oh, this old thing.
Darling, I made it this morning.
Wait.
Today's the day, people. It is protest day. Let's stand up and be counted. 1.
Whoa, Ray.
Seriously, wow.
In addition to her outfits, there was also her costumes. Every time Raven was up to something, she went in disguise, which basically became a signature trait for Raven.
Hey, little lady! Who is your plumber?
You are.
So what's my name?
Mr. Plumber, sir!
Miss Tallulah on the line. Well. Look what we've got her. It's J. Law. Oh, it's too late. Hey, girlfriend.
What made the character Raven so iconic was her ability to make the audience laugh, even if the audience was too young to get the joke. The slapstick humor and line delivery from the actress Raven Simone, who played Raven Baxter, were always on point, and television critics praised her physical comedy. Raven closely worked with a stunt coordinator for physical stunts. She constantly improvised jokes and bits and proved how well of a natural comedian she is.
That's right! You better turn around and apologize to me! After all that I've been through tonight, you better come back here!
Raven.
Get over here! Yeah, it's me! Corey, you better wake up, you nasty!
I've rewatched a lot of old Disney Channel shows since Disney Plus was launched, and I can't tell you enough how the humor and jokes and even the acting did not age very well. I was very surprised how bad a lot of these child actors were at delivering jokes. It felt very awkward to watch, and back then, as I was watching it as a child, I thought they were really good actors, but they weren't.
She's really good.
But That's So Raven was one of the few Disney Channel shows that I found myself laughing every time I rewatched. It's just a very good and entertaining show. And I don't mean to put Raven Simone at such a high pedestal, but she was just so good at her job. No other Disney Channel star has been able to top her in terms of acting, comedy, and style too. This woman managed to play so many different type of characters and pulled it off flawlessly at such a young age.
Hush up! Now come on and grab a seat, child. I'm your Auntie Faye. And this fool right there, your cousin Delroy. Fool! You gonna let that woman call your husband a fool?
This was my multiverse of madness. That's So Raven wasn't perfect. There's a lot of inconsistencies. The episodes were not aired in order, so it created a lot of confusion. And there seems to be some type of paradox going on because most of the time Raven makes her visions come true. So without her visions, she can't fulfill the events of the present, which is very confusing.
So you mean to say that the security guard in my vision was actually me? Yeah, it's a new twist on things.
The finale was pretty anticlimactic. We don't see Chelsea, Raven, and Eddie graduating. Raven doesn't get a job promotion or her brig. I would have loved to see a better finale for That's So Raven. I feel like the writers of the show didn't write a proper ending because they expected the movie to wrap things up. And yes, That's So Raven was supposed to have a movie, but it got cancelled. Because of its success, That's So Raven became a sort of blueprint for the other sitcoms that came after it. The network started to strive away from the average American kid living in the suburbs storyline and replicating the same exact format That's So Raven had, which gave rise to shows about kids living in unordinary situations, like living in a hotel, secretly being a famous pop star, or having magical powers. Many of these shows that used the same format as Raven were extremely successful. That's So Raven was also the first Disney Channel show to get a 4th season, and ever since then, any Disney Channel show that gets a 4th season means it's very popular and successful. That's So Raven also gave executives confidence in the appeal and interest of the musical genre. Because its musical episode did so well, it inspired the development of the musical television films like High School Musical,
Including the most popular episode of That's So Raven, Road to Audition.
Here's a little trivia. There's this episode called Going Hollywood where Corey wins a guest appearance on a hit TV show called Better Days. And this episode is very strange because it doesn't focus much on Raven or Corey, but instead of a character we're not familiar with. It felt like it could have been a backdoor pilot for a spin-off show, and I looked it up, And it was. That episode was the test for a spin-off called Better Days. It was to center around a child star celebrity trying to live a normal life. But the project fell through, and what's really interesting is that the storylines and ideas for that show were the basis for Hannah Montana. So that means Hannah Montana is a sort of spin-off of That's So Raven.
There once was a farmer that had a dog, and Mingo was his name. Oh, baby, it was his name. It was his name. Hey, thank you. It was his name. Girl, she has the name. This is the New Jersey, Nebraska, Arizona.
So yeah, That's So Raven really birthed such an incredible era of Disney Channel that so many grew up on and cherish. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. It's my first video and I know it's a little awkward and messy and my audio is bad, but I always wanted to make these type of videos about shows I loved watching when I was a kid. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, bye.
Boys, we are the boys in motion. We give you our devotion. Boys, we are the boys in motion.